Oh, let me go get my water. I'll be right back. All right, I got 8:59. We'll give it about 3 minutes as usual to about 7:02. The energy is still dissipating. I had a great day today, y'all. I had a great time, I think. All right, switch buttons here. Mic back on. Oh, let me move this out of my watch here. Clicking up on our 7:02. We're getting close enough. Don't have to wait any longer. I'll ramble till then. Mumble, grumble, grumble, and there we are. All righty. Oh, I do have to check a message over here on the other screen. Give me one more second. Oh, got that. All righty. It is Wednesday night, 7 p.m., a little bit past, and as always, it is the South Carolina NORML Cannabis Conversation. My name's Scott Weldon. I am the director of South Carolina NORML, and all of our meetings are an environment of education and awareness and are not an open market for the sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis. We do not encourage or condone illegal behavior of any kind. Let me close up the disclaimer here. Welcome everybody that's here on the call with me tonight. Welcome to anybody that might be watching this live stream over on our YouTube channel. And also welcome to anybody that might be watching on YouTube as a recording later on. As I mentioned YouTube, I always like to point out that we are not monitoring the YouTube comment section down below off to the side, wherever it is on your device. But if you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave your comment there. Once YouTube's done rendering the video, usually within about 24 hours or so, we will come back, revisit, and check any question, comments, and concerns, and try and adjust them as we can, or address them as best we can. Thank you, Ina, for posting that. Let me go. Got home just a little past 5, got dinner on the table, and just kind of got trying to gather my wits and stuff. I wanted to go to see what was going on with that real quick, and I have not had a chance. They were going past 10 o'clock last night.
You hear me?
Yes.
You hear me or not?
Yes. Yep. I got you.
Oh yeah, man. Can you hear me?
Yes.
They debating whether or not to include flavor in the edibles at the moment.
Flavor?
Crazy. It's been interesting now. Yeah, they're trying to. Cash, my representative from Anderson, Cash, is trying to. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm looking up there, but yeah,
okay.
They're trying to say put as least as flavor as possible. So they're debating that at the moment.
Make them taste yucky. We don't want them to enjoy their cannabis any way, shape, or form.
No.
That was actually suggested today.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh man, I would be.
Sandy Sand.
Oh, of course, Sandy.
She wants to make it taste bad or bitter.
What happened between her and Jill Swing yesterday? Did anybody hear whatever comments happened either between or about her during the debate? It wasn't between. It would have been, I guess, kind of indirectly about Jill Swing. Did anybody catch anything about that? I'm going to have to go and research it a little bit. I saw a post from yesterday's debate, and somebody saying, it was a Facebook post and comments on their page somewhere. Yeah. Did you hear what Sandy said? That was like a direct attack to Jill and an insult to her daughter. And I never got the quote or never got to see where the clip was. I think Jeremy over there was trying to like work a clip out, and they may have gotten it onto their, I don't know if they do a YouTube. I know they do that live stream thing. But anyway, I was like, ooh. And I know that Sandy's been less than cordial to Jill and her daughter in the past, and saying less than cordial is being as polite as I can. But anyway, yeah, I see they're still at it there in the Senate floor.
Yeah, the lady right now is talking. It's the first time she's talked in 3 weeks, so I'm impressed. She's getting up. She's from Lexington, I think. She's up there talking now, and this is the first time she's even talked. So I'm glad to see that.
I must admit to y'all, I am not really watching the debates as thoroughly as I think I'd like to, but I've got to the point, especially after Michael said today, oh, they're at 49 amendments. I'm like, they're just like chipping away and beating this thing to death is kind of the way I look at it. And it already doesn't meet up with our core attributes of a patient-centric cannabis regulation fact sheet.
Oh yeah.
So I'm less and less supportive because it seems like they're more willing to make changes to it for the people that oppose it. So maybe if we oppose it, they'll make some changes for us, for the patients, for the people that really need it. I don't know. I'm talking.
Well, that McLeod lady, that was on there.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that McLeod lady from Richland County, and she let them hold it.
I think you said you or somebody sent me a message or a comment about she's kicking out. Senator McLeod, she's running for governor.
Oh, I said if anybody's available, y'all go.
She's running in the primaries against Joe Cunningham to be
A
governor.
great job. She
Yeah. And I'd give her as much. She was invited to speak for us today as well.
40 or 50 or.
I don't know offhand, but yeah, she was invited to speak with us today. But she had a conflicting appointment, from what I understand, and she's a sponsor of S335, which basically we were talking about this today. I was even talking about this with my House rep. S335, the way it's written, it says it looks to remove from the schedule, or remove from Schedule 1 or something like that of the state's Controlled Substances Act. So it wouldn't be federal, but the state has its own like copy of this. And then to reduce the penalty. So I look at it as a decrim bill, but our state directorate national views it more as a legalization bill. Now I've communicated with Mia's team a couple of times, especially when I was asking for more clarification on her marijuana policies shortly after Cunningham announced his. And she's been invited on our cannabis conversation at some point, at any time as well. But I've never really gotten that warm reception, or that that information back, that confirmation that here's our policy, or here's our something like that. But from what I've seen,
McLeod said McLeod today said she introduced the decriminalization bill. She said she
called it. Okay, so she called it a decriminalization bill. And see, that's the way I view it.
How many participants were there today? Estimate 40 or 50?
In our event, down on the in the lobby? I don't know. It was kind of a whirlwind for me. And then I had to scoot off before it was even done, before the speakers were done, to take a couple of our constituents over to talk to their legislator. So I didn't see the wrap up. As a matter of fact, I'm in the process of watching the video on YouTube before the call. And oh my God, is Vaughn on the call yet? No, she's not. But man, she was powerful. I was getting like tingles on my spine when I was watching the video, and because I really, although I was behind her during it, I wasn't really getting the full effect just by all the stuff going around. You lost somebody's connection. But yeah, we do have our version of the video now up on YouTube. Well, let me send you our YouTube channel. I think I have it handy because I'm watching it. And yeah, I'm just at the point where I think Cunningham ended, and they're moving on to Helen from the ACLU. So I'm about halfway through. My little recording shows about 38 minutes. I know it doesn't really start until 4 minutes in. So, and I don't know how soon after things stopped that they were turned off because I had to leave. But we had a good solid, 30-minute press conference. And WIS TV was there. There was another tripod with a cell phone set up across the way. So I don't know who that was at first, but I know at one point while I was speaking, and even a little bit later as some others were speaking, it seemed like the crowd across from us filled up pretty well. Oh, looks like Guyana's having. Oh, I think she's in now. Good. Okay. So yeah. Well, let me see. I got a little visual here. I know. I'd say there was about 20 people at the podium, behind the podium, around the podium, and then there was, I'm going to say maybe a dozen or so viewers, maybe a few more. if anybody else has any thoughts on their feel for it. Like I said, to me, I wasn't thinking to count folks. I know there was a couple of groups sort of off on the wings a little bit. As I'm watching the video, now it's a little static, so I don't see the whole crowd behind. But I'm seeing a nice variety of signs behind us, which I like. And I have in my hand a couple of cards we got from a candidate for Congress. And what's her John Lewis running for? House District 97. So we got a couple of candidate contact information that are cannabis supporting legislators. We didn't, I see some comments. Kyle saying around 20, give or take. Oh, okay, that was Jessica's cell phone across. I thought I had hers a little closer to us. Oh no, I don't see hers that close in that closer spot. Okay. That just sidetracked me reading comments. Sometimes I got to stop that. Yeah, so I don't think we met with as many legislators as I was hoping that we would. There was also a number of people that had signed up to participate that I didn't see. So maybe there are folks that had to travel in, and because it was kind of, I mean, if they were coming from the upstate, it may have been icier on the roads or something like that. I know it was cold and a little slick on my front steps, but roadways were fine as far as I was concerned. But as we got it closer to Columbia from Charleston, it had some neat, they were talking about freezing, what are they calling it? Freezing mist and or freezing fog or something like that. And there were some real neat misty kind of hollows and some little sort of frost covered fields, and there's some neat scenery on the way. We were told that we could go up and like call legislators out from session. And as we got there, the process was slightly different. You were supposed to kind of send an email to the secretary at the desk, and then they would forward that email into the legislator and request if they want to come out or not. And we didn't have, like I say, the number of the people didn't show up that we had talked about scheduling. I think there was only, well, everybody we met with, we had constituents for. And I think there was one where the legislator didn't show up. No, Kristen's not on the call. I don't see it. But we did go up into the second floor area, and boy, that was kind of interesting because there was a lot of people up there just kind of, I guess, waiting for what's going on with the debates in the Senate, and saw a couple of folks I knew, a couple of legislators I knew, and like I say, we went up to see is there a way to call people out, and we saw it was this process where you do the emailing, and the only person that we had with us went like, man, I'll just email them later. But then the ones we did see, I think we had some real positive responses. We did have some legislators decline to meet. Actually, I think there was more than, I think appropriate is, I don't know the right word to use, but good example. Sandy Sen, my senator, didn't want to meet with me about and talk about marijuana. Is anybody on the call surprised by that she really didn't want to meet? That she didn't say it herself, but her staff, when Kristen called, she's made her decision on that. Is not interested in discussing it. But I'll let her know that you're interested in meeting, and then get back to you if she wants to, something like that. Oh, okay. I'm sure she'll be calling back. Thank you very much. So, and some were just a little more, we request and we just wouldn't get a response or anything. So, It was a learning experience, as I've told you all before. This was my first experience at a lobby day and a press conference at the State House. And I think we pulled off a pretty successful event. I haven't seen any of the TV coverage yet, and I haven't heard any feedback yet from some of the other advocates that were there, more for specifically the medical bill. We did have some folks thinking that it wasn't appropriate for us to be there, and they wanted us to kind of wait till after the vote. But make hay when the sun shines, is what I say. Make hay when the sun shines. Let me kind of see. Yes, it was very cool to see people. Vaughn Postema has been our board secretary. I'd have to check my records, but for a little while now. I mean, she's had a baby since she was, and now little Doobie, as I like to call him, is on our advocacy calls at times, but it was our first time actually meeting in person, and it's got to be at least 6, if not more, months that Vaughn's been working with us. It's more than 6, I'm sure. But again, this COVID thing and the ability to meet folks on Zoom calls, it was the first time we met in person, and it was like, hey, it was so nice to meet you. It was just great seeing and meeting some of the folks that I've been communicating with over the past few weeks, trying to get this thing together. Love meeting the folks from the ACLU. We're really looking to try and start collaborating next step kind of stuff after today's event, and in pretty much everybody's eyes after the Senate vote and after this medical bill overall. I mean, a lot of people's concentration does not want to even think about decrim at the moment. And now my House rep, Spencer Wetmore, seemed pretty positive about the House's acceptance of the medical bill as it comes over. More so than some of the other people that have been sort of mentioning things to me here and there, or some of the folks that were not warning us, but questioning our timing of our event while the debate's still going on. Would our event negatively impact? And that they thought some of these folks saw the House as being even more of a challenge than the Senate. My House rep thought it would be pretty well accepted, but good question. I don't know. We saw the Mississippi bill basically be bounced back from the House to the Senate, I think it was in a day or a couple of days or the same day, or it was pretty quick. I think they they probably didn't make a whole lot of amendments or something like that. And they just went, yep, that's good. Send it back. Okay, send it to the governor, get a signature. So they rammed that through pretty quickly, in my opinion. And now their bill has 24 qualifying conditions. I don't know anything else about that bill, to be quite honest with you. But it did move from the House from the Senate to the House and back very quickly. What happens in South Carolina could be a whole other story. It could die in the House and never make it back to the Senate by the end of session. And then our 2-year session is over, and it would have to be reintroduced all over again come next January. So I don't know. That's a hard question to So anyway, kind of what we're looking to do is we want to support the medical bill. As you've heard me say, I'm a little disappointed on how they're hacking it to death, and I'm surprised they didn't say, go ahead, yes, Andy said, we'll make it taste bitter and terrible so nobody enjoys their medicine. Let me get to your question in just a second here, BJ. Give me just a moment. I kind of lost track there. Oh yeah, but we were talking earlier. She wants to make it taste bad, and all this kind of stuff. Not like they treat cannabis consumers bad enough as it is. Let's, if we're gonna give them medical, let's make it taste really bad. We don't want them to have a strawberry flavored vape. First off, they're giving you vapes and no flour, but but then they want it to taste bad. Oh man. Anyway, Tom Davis basically said till this bill is debated and voted on, he was going to decline to I forget what it was, vote against any other legislation. So yeah, they fast tracked this, and that's kind of why it's taken command of the Senate floor for the past couple of weeks now, through 2 weeks. Has it been? We're at day 7 today. So yeah, the past 2 weeks. I'm not watching any of it. Are they getting to a vote at all? Or are they still debating? I believe is watching. We're hoping for a vote. Could be today, could be tomorrow. Oh, let me see what they're doing. I still have it. I paused it because I didn't need the sound in my ear. In recess for 20 minutes.
Scott, yeah, they're recessed. You're right. You got it.
Okay. Yeah, last night, I mean, at one point I checked my computer around 10 o'clock and they were still going at it. And I was like, oh man, because what I try and do is download them here and then re-upload them on our YouTube. I think they're easier to watch. You get the good captioning on them, and you can stop and switch them, I think, a little easier. And so anyway, last night, finally about 11 o'clock, I see that they were done, and it was 8 hours of freaking testimony or session yesterday. So it took a little while to download. Finally got it. Everything is live right now for today. They don't actually generate a downloadable or a viewable video until after session, and then it doesn't usually take too long for it to process. And then you'll see if you go back to, let me give you the link for it.
I'm talking about our video that we had, the camera that we had video.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry. That's what I'm talking about.
Not a problem.
To get the one that we did.
Yes. And I saw your connection probably when you came back on, you can't see it in chat. So let me go ahead and give that to you again. Yeah, that's from today. It's like I say, it's about 38 minutes. That link will start you 4 minutes in, so you'll miss a lot of the first 4 wasted minutes. And so yeah, it probably was just around 30. Like I say, I wasn't there at the end, and I haven't finished watching it. I did see on our live stream to Facebook from one of my devices. As soon as Michael Harvey ended and Cody Colliman started, I couldn't hear any audio on Cody. What's this one?
Cody made a good point today too, and I was talking to him about the pharmacist end of this thing. He seems to think that that's not going to make it, in the bill, because something about the pharmacists aren't going to be able to support that or be part of that. I don't know.
Well, really, they can't. Yeah, they risk their license if they're. I had a pharmacist one time contact me when I first started this group and said, "Hey, 420's going. Are you having an event?" I'm like, I don't know. He's like, "You're really missing an opportunity if you don't. I'll like head it up for you, but I can't be a part of it because I'm a pharmacist, and if I get caught kind of supporting, I could lose my licensing or whatever it is they have. I guess it's a license." And so that actually started our first frickin' 420 event in 2017. Um, but it, well, what was the other thing? I mean, they don't want dispensaries now. They want to try and have it distributed through the pharmacies, and that'll never fly. I mean, my understanding is, yeah, put it in the bill, but it'll never work. They're gonna have to do something different down the road anyway. But if that'll help it get it passed, we'll put it in. But so I don't know. It depends on. Oh, excuse me. Here, I got an itch. Yeah, I've been hearing. That's what, like I said, I stopped kind of watching some of that. I've been hearing bits and pieces because there's just all this strange stuff that they're
Yeah,
asking
it's been
for,
really
requiring.
interesting. It is long and involved, but you really learn a lot about each senator, who they are, what's going on. Kind of, it's long drawn out, but the dynamics of the whole situation.
Right. And that's why I don't watch it live as much, because if I can watch it on YouTube, if I didn't hear Senator from what county, I can quick zip back, where the live one is really a challenge, at least on my machine, to do that kind of stuff.
Because the
I don't even
streaming
know.
has been actually bad. I don't know what kind of streaming devices they're using from the Capitol, but the audio kept going in and out, and it's slow. And so it's been, I don't know, it's just been slow, the streaming process. There might have been a lot of people watching, is what I think.
That could be. I mean, it's a hot topic, and a lot of people have been watching this. I don't know how many other debates people watch, and but I even downloaded that if you go to their homepage, there's an app to download, and at the very top of the page, and I get notices when session starts in the House. I get notices when session starts in the Senate, and then I get notices when they finish. And that's when I usually, like, I'll see them finish, and I'll hit the download on them shortly after that. But the app's pretty handy for kind of watching stuff, and I haven't got much further into it, but there's probably follow bills, get notifications and alerts as bills move, follow committees, members and meetings. So it's a pretty dandy app. I've got to kind of work my way into it a little bit more. But yeah, go to Statehouse, scstatehouse.gov, all very top to the right, at least on my computer. I'd assume it's about the same spot on the phone and a mobile device. So anyway, I think we had a great day, and what we're really starting to do, I started talking about, and then I got sidetracked on it, is what we're going to be doing going forward, looking to do going forward. I know a lot of folks are saying we're going to be focusing only on medical until it's passed, hook up with us later kind of thing. But we're still ready to start moving. Good example, I spoke with Karen O'Keefe today, who is a representative of Marijuana Policy Project. She was there today for the Senate, for the hearings, the debate, which I thought actually was pretty intrigued, because I think she's from California, so she must be here visiting during the debates and representing for MPP. As I mentioned, talking to her, and I talked to her a while back, and her focus is really on this medical bill, passing medical in South Carolina. Those of you who have joined the calls, in recent weeks, have also heard me talking about, or even heard Kevin Caldwell on our call out of Louisiana. Kevin's been recently appointed as their Southeast Regional Manager, and he's got a lot of background in decrim, and that's where I've been wanting to kind of move us for a while now. So we are going to be tapping off of, and like I say, he represents MPP, and we're again trying to do some things that are not interfering with Karen in the medical side, and it's a little balance game. I've been told to definitely make some connections with Drug Policy Alliance, which I have not. I mean, I follow their pages and things like that, but I don't have any direct contacts, and we'll probably be making some of those soon. And the folks that were there that from the ACLU, there was 3 people representing the ACLU of South Carolina today. One of them spoke for us. And we had a relationship with the ACLU of South Carolina a while back when their executive director, Frank Connect, was on board. But he has now moved to New Hampshire and worked for the ACLU up there. And so I was having trouble getting any new connection back until just a couple of weeks before our event, and we were able to make some contact. I went a little bit more unconventional, reached out through other, like LinkedIn instead of directly through their sites and things like that. And I'm really glad I did, because we made some new connections again here in the South Carolina or the Charleston area, and one of the reps was from Orangeburg, I believe, and Anwar from Orangeburg was supposed to be our speaker today, but apparently a little bit of illness struck him, and so we got the opportunity to meet Helen. I can't roll the R's, so Marema. If I could roll R's better, it would sound better. Anyway, they were very gracious to participate, and again, ACLU's been a great resource for us for their documentation. The Tale of Two Countries that came out back in 2020 has a lot of data about marijuana arrests throughout the nation. So we use a lot of that data. And also the folks here in Charleston are involved with, oh, I've got to go find this real quick so I don't say it wrong. The People's Budget Coalition. And they've got, I'm going to share this report with you because it's pretty cool information for what we do. I think it's going to help us a lot in trying to like decrim Charleston, the city of Charleston. Building a safe and just Charleston, from eliminating racist policing to investing in life-affirming services. And again, we use this as a lot of data points, talking about arrest for violent charges. If you go down to like page, I think I'm at 6 now. It talks about arrest statistics. It talks about racial disparity in Charleston. It talks about their methodology. It's a 43-page document. I'm not going to explain it all to you at the moment. But anyway, very involved, great information, and very local for me here in Charleston. I really believe that as soon as this medical bill does whatever it does this year, hopefully passes the Senate, hopefully passes the House and bounces back, and hopefully gets Henry McMaster to sign it, I think the focus on local decrim is really going to start moving forward. There's some whispers in the pipeline, I'd say, already, and with our new connections with the ACLU in South Carolina and their data points on Charleston and their connections in Charleston, I believe we can move Charleston and maybe make that the first city in South Carolina to reduce the penalties for marijuana possession to my preference, no fine, no time, no court cost, but we'll see where it goes. And how are we going to do that? What we talked about at the press conference today, how are we going to do that? We're going to start first by trying to share some more stories on people that have been harmed by marijuana prohibition, by marijuana arrest, by the residual consequences that follow along. We're partnering with the MPP as a collection data, a collection system for those stories, and we're working on one from our end. And so that's one of the things you're going to see us moving forward in the next, hopefully, couple of weeks. We've already been sharing a couple links on the MPP's story collection. And we've all, as if you heard our conference today, the story I shared was one that Cruel Consequences out of Virginia was able to obtain. We were working with Cruel Consequences. We still do work with Cruel Consequences or support their cause. They're all about telling the stories of marijuana arrest and the residual consequences, or as they call it, the cruel consequences that follow along with those arrests. And we finally have one forum for South Carolina. And now for the, for our program for the MPP, I'm hoping we can get a whole lot more. It'll be a little bit hard because a lot of people are afraid to come out of the closet about their experiences, or many people are afraid of retaliation or retribution from law enforcement if they speak out.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Scott. I feel like that in South Carolina, Georgia, folks are just, a senator in Georgia said he had a meeting and all that. And one of the questions the news reporter asked him was, have you heard from any of your constituents in favor? He said, no, just the opposite. So that got me curious, wondering, well, why would that be? And I got to thinking about it, and that's got to be it. They don't want to speak up. They're scared. They got their, they just don't, they're just fearful because, a fear of losing everything, fear of being targeted, fear of, public or peer pressure or whatever. So
and I can't necessarily blame them. I mean, I've seen it happen, or heard some stories. Or now I'm kind of entitled. I'm an old white guy. They don't really bother me a whole lot. I'm not in the I'm not where they're targeting their enforcement. I know how to not talk to them. That kind of thing. But yeah, they don't bother me. And so people
I was just going to approach it, if we kind of approach it from the education standpoint, I think that's what I'm going to try to do up here in the upstate or whatever, or wherever I go, is the education part of that. If I can just push that, I feel like I'll be all right.
Right. If we could find even just a couple of stories or just these data points and say, look, in education wise, look at what's happening with this. The one thing that, like I said, I was trying to express in some of my talk today was how students, young people will, actually adults as well, they'll switch up. They will actually do more dangerous substances to avoid getting caught with marijuana in their system, because they know the cannabis lasts in their system for so long, where they can do some other kind of drug and it's out of their system in 12 to 48 hours, 12 to 24 generally, or sometimes faster. But and that scares me, especially when we've got these schools that are going, oh, we're going to random drug test our students, or only the athletes, or whatever they do. Some of them in Horry County were. I don't know if they still are. And I had seen, excuse me, a couple of others. I don't want to say names because I don't remember exactly what school districts they were. But there were a couple of others that were, talking about implementing, and I think they eventually dropped it. But that stuff scares me because first off, I don't like the school to prison pipeline. Cannabis being criminalized is probably the quickest way students are getting into that pipeline. And we don't need to put them in any more jeopardy than they already are. So, okay, excuse me. I am going to check here real quick if there's any other comments. BJ is asking if there's any wording that would signify social equity will be a part of the legislation once passed, and I'm going to say in the current bill, the medical bill is moving through. I'm not seeing. Oh, I'm hearing sound. They must have started again. Amendment 71. One second, guy. $71 amendments? Or maybe there's not all passed. I almost removed somebody from our chat. Sorry about that. I'm clicking wrong buttons. Yeah, so back to that answer, I'm not really seeing anything. Actually, that's been one of the questions brought up, by many of the senators. The big thing, the way I look at it, is they're looking to sell vapes that are going to cost you twice as much as you could get the same thing on the street. And even the one senator that I'm pretty sure opposes, the senator from Colton County, says, the people in my county, they're not going to be able to afford that. What's that going to do for the people? And that's just it. Although Tom Davis claims they're trying to make this as inexpensive as they can with the regulations, with the packaging, with the testing and all that stuff, it does add to the cost over street value. And so, I do understand some of that, but it's still going to double the cost of what people could buy it on the street for. And most people are going to say, and as I talk about a lot, Sandy Sand and some of these others are going, oh, and bad actors, or whatever they're calling them, are going to try and weasel their way into the system and fake that they've got some pain just so they can get some of this marijuana. And I'm thinking, you're talking vapes, tinctures. Nobody's going to waste their time trying to get that at twice the price. Ridiculousness. But yeah, there's no restorative justice. There's no type of equities in the medical bill that I'm aware of. Josh makes a good point. A lot of it favors law enforcement. First things first. The companion bill for this in the House includes flower, includes smoking. That bill's not going anywhere because they're waiting to see what happens with this bill. And it was only sponsored by, co-sponsored, in my opinion, to have a co-sponsored bill. Not that they expected it to go anywhere. They expected Davis's to move. But Davis immediately took out smoking and took out flower to appease law enforcement. As much as he states, and I say this often, he states it even himself, he knows that the efficacy is greater from smoking, especially for patients like vets with PTSD. But law enforcement can't tell the difference between medical marijuana and illegal recreational marijuana. I don't think he said it quite that way. But,
I sure hope that'll change one day, maybe amendments or whatever. I agree, get this through, get it in, get all the agencies like DHEC and all those people are going to have to get involved. I worked for DHEC for 19 years, so I definitely want to be in on that process. Once it passes the House or whatever, if it does, I definitely want to sit in on the amendments. The regulations.
So I'm a little sidetracked. I was getting this web address from PJ here. But yeah, they're beating this thing to death with regulations. I think that's what you're kind of talking about, correct?
What I'm saying is once they pass it and it becomes law, then DHEC is going to get involved and set regulations, and there'll be hearings on regulations. So I, as a former employee with DHEC, I definitely want to be involved on the, I think it'll be public where you can go in and actually listen to what the regulations that DHEC will be making for the program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know I was hearing some of that earlier because they're talking about DHEC and regulations, and Sandy said, but we want to get rid of DHEC. I don't know what all that's about. I think that had all to do with vaccines and stuff like that more so than anything. But What else do we have in here? Cool. BJ, welcome and thank you. As a matter of fact, we usually hang out and kind of introduce ourselves toward the end of the call. Tonight's not even a real formal call. We're just chat is chat. Well, but yeah, I'm going to kind of take a peek at your site here. Definitely come back and join us out on every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. We're always here. I don't know if I've missed one in. I think we've missed one or two, but one night I actually lost internet. Our call died, I think, in the middle of it or the beginning. Excuse me, I'm talking too much. So anyway, yeah, we're going to start moving forward. We are going to start gathering stories. And again, if we can do these even as anonymous stories, John B says, we don't have to out people. We don't need to dox people or anything like that. If people want to tell these more anonymously, I don't blame them because yes, retribution or the fear of retribution, is a real thing. I don't know what's the fear of it. It's a real thing. I remember, I think it was 2018. I had been at it for a year and a half or whatever, and I wasn't feeling the love one day, I guess, and I started a little rant on the Facebook page. I'm like, what the hell is going? I don't feel like I don't know what it was, but it was a rant about just not feeling supported, or why am I wasting my time, or I don't know what it was.
Well, it is important to have a support group or some people that can help you walk through some of this. Like if it wasn't for a couple of support groups that I talked to, all over the state. I mean, it's all over the United States. I got folks in Washington, Maine, and different places that are supporting and helping me and encouraging me. So you don't feel like you're the only one out there, but South Carolina,
that rant actually paid off though for me. I must admit that rant paid off, because next thing I know, I'm getting some private messages here going, I'm a school teacher. I can't publicly support. I'm a this, I'm a that, and I'm like, I'm feeling the love, okay, it's anonymously or they can't openly support, but I was feeling the love, and it re-energized me, and I don't think I've had a rant like that since. But so I do like to tell that story, because sometimes, you don't feel the love, but people are afraid. Like I mentioned, that pharmacist, he wouldn't be able to like openly support us having a 420 event, but he thought it needed to be done, but he didn't want to risk his license to help us openly, and like I say, school teachers have called. I can't support, I'd lose my job. First starting to found this group in South Carolina as a Low Country NORML, the guy that we thought would be the executive director started talking about it with some friends, and it got around to his and people at work, and it got around to his boss, and the boss came up to him and he said, hey, if you want to keep your job, you won't do that. So that's why I'm the guy you're sitting listening to tonight. It's because his boss was going to fire him if he was the guy that was talking to you. Free speech in America, my friends.
Yeah, fear is real. I agree with that, because I'm still fearful. What should I do? But I'm getting there. I'm gradually getting there. That's because I'm retired. See, I'm not in the system anymore like I used to be. But I understand.
Yeah, and that's part of mine is IDGF. I don't give a but and I don't think they can and or would bother me, but only because I think I'm in Charleston. I'm in kind of this little kind of bluer dot in the state, and it's not as arrest happy. Well, I can't say that because the numbers are still there. They're still arresting people. They're just not arresting old white guys. They're arresting young black men for the most part. So yeah, they don't want to be bothered with me, but there's a lot of people that if they do stand up, and again, it's not always law enforcement that's going to try and come back and give payback or anything. It could be employers. It could be, shunned by family members, or make family situation very uncomfortable, and they don't want to be out, don't want to talk, don't want to. It's not always the option. So I think actually it's probably still on our page, on our donation page. It's like, hey, I understand if you don't want to be out and open about it, but make a donation here, get a member. Well, I think it was not membership. Make an anonymous donation here, or whatever, and help us with the cause. And I'll be the one that speaks out, and I'll be the one there for you to shout and rant and rave or whatever it is. And so yeah, it sort of carried me through over the past couple of years as we've been doing this. And I got to say, this past year, even the past 6 months, I think we've gained some new support and some good energy. The fact that it looks like a little bit more energy and effort, and we're going to have ourselves an official Columbia chapter of South Carolina, chapter up there, already pretty much seed in the ground. So that's coming together. I mean, we were Low Country NORML. We were a regional chapter for the first 4 years, and it wasn't until pretty much all the other chapters in the state kind of dissipated that National said, hey, why don't you guys just step up and take the state affiliate position. When was that? The beginning of 2021. Yeah, it was just last year. So it's only been a year. It hasn't been 2 years yet. I was thinking about it. How did we deal our tax filings? Matter of fact, we didn't change our name with our tax filings last year like I thought we had, but so we're doing our official name on taxes this year. But anyway, it's been a whole new experience because now we're trying to make a wider reach than just the Charleston or the Low Country area, and trying to reach out throughout the entire state. A lot more data points for me to try and remember, and the upstate, especially for the racial disparities, is a lot higher than here in Charleston. Pickens County, 8.4 times more likely to be arrested if you're a person of color. That's one I remember offhand. There's a couple up there a little bit lower. There's actually, interestingly, we were talking about with one, I forget who I was talking about, but there's a couple of the counties where it's actually slightly higher population of Black, and the arrest rates are pretty much the same, maybe slightly higher, but that's an unusual county. That was an odd one. I'll have to go back and check the records on what that one was. But that's why, again, we're more focused on the discrimination, depenalization side, of course, moving towards medical. And even my House rep said, Scott, they're in there in debate and they're talking about the slippery slope, and the next step's just going to be to legalization. And these dispensaries we're creating are going to magically turn into pot stores overnight for recreational use. And here you are. I'm like, yeah, here we are. I said, but this legislation's been filed for a long time. It's not new legislation. There's been, decrim legislation that was filed last year, and that same decrim legislation had been filed, 2 years prior to that. And so decrim legislation is not new in the state. That stepping stone is out there. I mean, the way the Senate bill is going and this medical bill is going, I don't know if decrim won't be first. So I doubt it, because none of those decrim bills will move. They're democratically sponsored. But gather information and then education. As if you watch the little talk, we had our fact sheet wrapped with us today. To me, I just thought that was very fortuitous to think about taking those. I was watching the press conference from the Vets for Cannabis a week or so ago, and they had some sort of pop-up banner kind of things, and I'm like, oh, those are cool. They kind of make a statement. We don't have those. What do we have? And we already had the rack, so I thought, well, that's appropriate. I was able to top them with a couple of our signs. I haven't seen any TV renews tonight, so I don't know if we got any actual airtime tonight or not. We'll see. We'll see what happens with it. I know we at least had some coverage, so that was cool. And we've gotten some feedback through email and messaging. And like I say, we've gotten some cards from candidates. We got some people interested in working with us. And so between work with MPP, working with the ACLU of South Carolina, hopefully reaching out to Drug Policy Alliance, and then some of these legislators and candidates, we can start making some bacon here in South Carolina, making some shaking. I don't know what I'm saying. All right. I don't see any other comments I need to comment on at the moment. Where are we at, gang? 7:58. We're running close to the end. I don't know if somebody just lost internet connection or left from time. But as we've been trying to do for the past few weeks is just kind of hang out and chat if anybody else has some other stuff they want to talk about. If any of you, I know Kyle was there with us today, Mike was there with us today, Ina was there with us. Actually, all you were there with us today. How do you guys see it? What do you think? Good, bad, indifferent, critique?
Indifferent. I would have wished we would have had more television support, but I realized because this is a overall recreational legalization, they're not going to cover it.
I was glad we had some. You know, like I said, I don't know who else was standing over there. I saw somebody come in kind of late with what it looked like a video camera. So I don't know how far into it we were. I only reached out to like 5 media sources, so some of that's on me. I didn't know how many to actually hit, so I thought I'd hit Live 5 and Wish were 2, and I know that they kind of share info. Because when I was interviewed by Live 5, it ended up I saw it in print on Wish, so they probably used the quote somewhere, in a story somewhere along the way. So, but yeah, I don't know who else was there. I reached out to, I believe it was ABC out of Columbia, and Post and Courier, which is actually out of Charleston, but I think they have, of course, people covering the State House. And I don't remember the other 2 offhand. I'd have to go check my records. So hopefully some of that's, hopefully we do get some airtime. So yeah, I kind of agree with you on that. I wouldn't mind a little bit more coverage. I wish I would have seen at least the 5 all show there, but I should have actually invited more. Ooh, look at that. Oops, I'm sorry, that's yesterday's. What are they doing on the floor? Are they still debating? I got to refresh mine.
I did get behind Joe Cunningham when he was being interviewed by WIS, not West, by the way, with a sign. So.
Oh, okay. I just call him with WIS.
Yeah, but I did bounce behind him with one of our signs when he was being interviewed.
Oh, that's cool. Well, at least we got a sign. I was kind of listening to our press conference in Joe's section just a little while ago, and I must admit he was focused a lot more on medical, which I'm fine with. I didn't want to focus on that from our perspective, but I know that's a lot of what he's kind of pointing, and because he's in his campaign, I know he was kind of harping on McMaster, but we know he's a strong supporter, so I think. And of course, they did want to talk to him specifically for interviewing. So I think we will get some kind of coverage. They also talked to Vaughn a little bit and did a separate interview with her. So if they were interviewing some of the speakers, we might get a little segment somewhere.
I really appreciate being paired up with Vaughn. I really liked her help, a lot. She was so helpful and supportive, walking me up there and back. And I really want to give her a thank you, a shout out about that. She was there
her
with
energy
me
was
Oh,
Yeah,
I
her energy was there
know.
today, man. It was awesome. I've got to do the same thing. I've got to thank her and because I really during her speech up there, I didn't really hear it, so I watched it on the video, and I'm like, oh man, I just got tingled down my spine. You go. There's a new standard. Yeah, that was powerful, man. So yeah, I will pass that along to her. Absolutely. I was kind of hoping they'd join in, but I know they're like, we probably get home trying to settle back in. She's got a little babe. So yeah, I didn't know if they would make it. And I know I actually dropped Kristen someplace that was besides home because she had some other appointments to try and catch up on. Um, you just got me tonight, but I'm going to go back and finish listening to it and just kind of hear what everybody else said, especially since I had to scoot out and I didn't hear, oh, Mike kind of scooted. I didn't hear Mike's as well as I would have liked to. And then, like I said, it wasn't long after that I had to scoot, so I didn't hear Cody's at all. But yeah, I think we had a great day. I know my House rep was real responsive, real positive. I know my senator, as you know, wouldn't talk to me. Went with Kyle and Shane to talk to their senator. And although he was a co-sponsor of the medical bill, he's not currently, although he says he's on the fence about how he's going to vote for it. Many years of law enforcement behind him, but overall, I mean, he was pretty positive as well. I think he, foresees decriminalization and probably full recreational. What he said within 10 years, maybe. I don't know. Oh, I just saw a comment I want to check out. Five to 10, yeah. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I mean, we were able to sneak out and get a quick lunch and do some chatting before we had to get back to our final appointments today. And I know we used to do in-persons here in Charleston for a while, but it was, I don't know if it's different in Columbia than in Charleston, but like here in Charleston, because we're all like this lowland and there's all these bridges, people don't like crossing bridges. It's a thing apparently. And I had people like actually comment me, you want me to get off my couch and cross a bridge to come and sit at some bar or restaurant and bitch about marijuana laws with you? But I mean, now some of our events, we did have some good turnout. I think our best turnout, we had about 17 people come to one of our monthly meetings. What happened with part of it is we'd get a little feedback. There was probably 2 or 3 of them that I did in a 2-year time, maybe even more, where it was an adventure because I'd pack up stuff. I'd go to wherever it was. I'd have to make sure there was magazines and brochures and T-shirts and stuff like that. Get all set, make reservations with the restaurant, let them know we're coming, whatever. And then I'd sit there alone. And I'm like, oh, now I even loved it if one person cut it because at least that's somebody to talk to. And like I say, then some of them were really, really good turnouts. My challenge with in-person meetings has mostly been just the communication and being able to hear it around the actual activities that go on in the bar and or restaurant. So location is always a challenge, but I think it's a great idea, and especially, excuse me, if we do it as like Columbia chapter, wanted to do in-person meetings per se. I know our board is starting to try and talk about doing like bi-monthly, every other month, personal meeting, in-person meetings just for the board, because like I said, I just got to meet Vaughn for the first time, and she's been with us for more than 6 months. So I think with, although people are talking about, pandemic and this and that, I think we do want to start getting some more in-person events and things going.
I'm in Columbia, Kyle, and I'm trying to get something started here. Maybe some in-person stuff. Definitely some outreach stuff. So I'm looking for people to help me out with that in Columbia. I believe Cody's in the Low Country, and Jessica is only available when she's available because she's kind of in and out all over.
Yeah, I think that's why she hasn't said, "Hey, I'll be one of the regional team leaders and chapter leaders at this point," because I know she's got a lot of other stuff on her plate, and sometimes participation isn't really easy, but I definitely think so, and I think it would be kind of neat. Maybe some people are in Columbia, some people are Charleston. We pick someplace in the middle. What's in the middle? Orangeburg. Actually, Orangeburg's a little closer to Columbia, I think, but I don't know that for sure. I don't have a map out. Yeah, we've got to come up with something. I like the idea. Of course, I'm going to throw this one at you because this is what I usually like to do when people make suggestions. I can put you in charge of that if you like. I know I've got Kristen working on it for our board. But yeah, if you guys want to discuss it, maybe come up with some suggestions, some ideas, some thoughts on where we can meet, that I'd be willing to start getting some stuff on the schedule and start, getting more activities going.
Well, Scott, maybe next Wednesday evening, we can be between now and next Wednesday, we can come up with some ideas and bring them up next Wednesday night.
There you go.
Even if we can look at there's any events going on in the Columbia area, which Columbia is kind of central, but there may be events to where a table could be set up and give out more brochures, fact sheets, whatever, on a small scale, and then we could meet then. Would be productive. I think productive stuff like that I definitely want to be involved with.
Yeah, we did our first ever. Actually, we did our first event since pre-COVID. Up at Soda City in Columbia a couple of weeks ago. Oh man, it felt so good to get back out again. Handing out brochures, handing out postcards.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. I missed that event. I had some other stuff to do, but
I actually like setting up those kind of things and making those the in-person meeting kind of concept, because that way then we're out and we're interacting with the community a bit more. I've done different things in the past year in Charleston. Oh geez, I remember I was at some art house. Of course, we've got the College of Charleston here, and there's some group there's one particular house. I forget the name of the house now. It had like a name to it, but they called it also like the art house, and they would. The students that lived there, I mean, they had their private area upstairs or whatever, but otherwise they'd put on different type of art displays. And I was invited there one night because some band was playing, and there was a gallery display of this artwork, and they said, sure, you can set up a little table over there and hand out brochures. And I'm in the kitchen at the counter. What else have we done? We've done it. We've done quite a few where we'd set up our pop-up on the side of the road, any public spaces we can get. I've been up, there's a little park not far from the James Island connector to downtown. And mind you, there's not real good access for people to pull in or out at that particular area, but it's a very busy intersection to stand and get attention anyway. Out in front of the Walmart. Actually, that one in Walmart was fun. I had sandwich board signs on that one. I had signs on me front and back. So some of that stuff, I mean, I really like to do that, is get out and get the attention of the public, and especially if there's an area where they can pull over and they can interact, or if it's like I say, an event. Events are a challenge sometimes because we need funding for them. So, of course, trying to collect donations to kind of cover those costs. Good example, we did sell a couple of items, but really we did not recoup the cost to be up at Soda City. And we do try to look to, actually we're very rarely successful at it, but we do try and at least recoup our costs for being there, so that we can put it towards, doing it again. But Soda City for nonprofits, actually, thankfully, a little bit cheaper than regular vendors, for one. You don't have to pay, I think, an annual fee on top of your weekly fee. But they limit nonprofits to being once a month there. And I really think that particular venue, probably not more than like a couple times a year. Move it around, get different, hit different areas, different market, town, a little town not far from there, or hard to say. That's why I like the discussion, and I think your suggestion is to wait until next week, let everybody kind of percolate it a little bit, is an awesome idea.
We are working on a trip to Cody's farm that we're gonna do as a group.
I've heard some whispers about that. Well, actually, more than whispers, a little bit about that today, and I think even Kristen mentioned it to me on the ride back from Columbia to Charleston. Absolutely. I'm interested. I want to be there, and of course, we know now is not time of year. It's probably empty fields, or right now. But I'm assuming kind of spring, summer type thing. So. Keep me posted on that if you find out any more, and definitely I think I'll reach out to Cody as the dust settles around here.
I think we're looking at early summer, just because the ambience it'll be a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he started planting. He said about a month ago.
Probably got his seedlings in, yeah. I mean, not in the ground yet. Is he starting them in a greenhouse?
He's already got some in the ground. He's expecting them to get like 8 feet tall.
Really? I'd be worried about frost.
He said they'll yield about 10 pounds a plant.
I'd be a little concerned about the weather. Just it still gets a little cold.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah.
Hey, if he's got it figured, more power to him. More power to him, yeah. Well, that's interesting to know. So if he's already got stuff in the ground by early summer, it's going to be a nice ambiance. Yeah. Well, if you guys are working on that, that's excellent. Keep that, keep me in mind and keep me posted. What else was I talking about? And I forget. Oh, and let's percolate some of this thoughts about either other events or, like I said, I don't even mind some in-person meetings from time to time, just to kind of get together and hang out and get to know each other. So I'll do a little percolating on that if you don't mind. Excuse me. Where we at? 8:16. Anybody else got anything they want to chat about before we go? All righty.
Jump back over to the debate.
Yeah, I should probably turn that on a little bit. Yeah, I'm getting a little wound down here, and so I think I'm going to kick my shoes off and relax a little bit. Thank you all guys for joining me. As you know, I will be back here on Wednesday night next week at 7 p.m. If you do want to reach out, you know where to reach us on our website, normalsc.org or scnormal.org. Go to our contact page. You can reach us through there, or our email at normalsouthcarolina@gmail.com, or our social media at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That's all I got for you tonight, guys. Thank you very much. We'll see you next